Hello, friends. What if I told you true happiness is about embracing your imperfections? Friends, your pursuit of perfection is making you miserable. Stop rushing to get power and start allowing your feminine energy to guide you. My name is Miss Carol. And I have spent the last decade, over a decade, attempting to understand this one principle. Be fast, but don't be in a hurry. Now, it sounds kind of contradictory, and I'm going to go through what exactly this means and how it shows up. When we are neglecting our natural feminine proclivities, such as nurturing, compassion, forgiveness, we will experience a myriad of problems, of issues that we are cultivating unknowingly. One of the first issues that will probably show up in our lives is detachment. We feel detached, especially at work. And when you think about it, this is kind of the last place that you want to be detached from because depending on what kind of work you do, you could be at work for 5 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, and the whole time you are completely detached mentally, emotionally, spiritually from the place that you are at. And instead of engaging with the people who are around you, often you're in your head thinking, what's the point of this? Why is this person getting promoted and I'm not? You don't feel a sense of desire to put your best foot forward. And it's understandable because when we are on a healing journey, we are often faced with emotional burnout. It is a hard endeavor to be the one who is the quote unquote adult, who is the one who grants people grace, who gives people the freedom to be themselves. It can be emotionally draining, which is why I'm going to go over 3 ways you can start to cultivate your energy, your feminine energy a little bit later. So, your overall detachment is communicating to you that you are not operating from the natural femininity that exists within you. You are being too fast and probably in a hurry. The next thing to look for, the next problem to look for is your overall irritability. And this is just not during that time of the month or the week leading up to that time of the month. You could find yourself standing in line at the grocery store and just seething with impatience because somebody is fumbling through their basket, somebody is, not moving as fast as you would want them to. You get irritated if someone cancels on you last minute, just overall irritability at these things that are just natural in life. People are not always going to be available. There are going to be natural disappointments. However, it is so imperative that we live from a space that is congruent to that which is natural to us. And feminine energy can be displayed in a myriad of ways. And that's another way that's another problem that we create, is that we have decided collectively what femininity is supposed to look like. And so, as opposed to cultivating our own definitions of femininity, whatever it may look like for us, we see an image of what we have decided femininity looks like, and we strive towards that. unfortunately, that is a recipe for disaster. You know, my definition of femininity means running butt naked through the woods, and not showering for a few days because I'm camping. You know, my definition of femininity also means wearing literally the exact same outfit for 3 days straight. My definition of femininity means sometimes being a little bit more masculine. Our the way that we translate our feminine energy is going to be unique to us individually because we are unique individually. You're not flawed, you're just unique. And attempting to compare yourself to whatever standards of perfection society has laid out is going to make not only you miserable, but guarantee the people around you miserable as well. Another common issue, another common problem is a deep like restlessness, almost like a fatigue. Like you wake up from rest, from sleep, and you almost don't even feel like you got any sleep at all. It's like this deep sense of, fatigue. It's brain fog, it might be headaches, it might be chronic anxiety. These things are emotional signposts to let you know that somewhere you are off balance in the equilibrium that is unique to you. And it is imperative that we pay attention to them, because when we are not paying attention to the little signs, unfortunately, those signs just get bigger and bigger and bigger until it's a complete avalanche. And unfortunately, we can find ourselves in circumstances that a simple phone call might not be able to get us out of, a simple conversation might not be able to get us out of. It might require a disciplined structure of habits over the course of a few months to really unravel all of this chaos that we have allowed to accumulate. So be fast, but don't be in a hurry. When you are living and translating your life from a feminine lens, think about it. Whether you are romantically interested in men or women or neither or any of the spectrum, when you translate your experience through the feminine lens, what does the feminine do? The feminine receives. The feminine allows. The feminine does not chase. The feminine does not beg. How am I going to receive something and chase it at the same time? Those two things are not congruent with one another. They are paradoxical, but often, we see certain images, and as opposed to using those as demonstrations of how we can improve our own lives, how we can improve the quality of our own lives, we in turn want to be that thing. So what are some practical solutions? Well, the first one is about creating a safe space. And that is one of the goals of this channel. This channel is meant to be a safe space for women to come to allow yourself to be still, to be quiet, and to listen. We already have all the answers inside of us, but we are cluttered. Our minds are cluttered with noise. Our heart is cluttered with noise that we cannot hear, metaphorically or literally. We cannot hear the answers that are inherent in all of the problems that we face. So creating safe, silent spaces is key. How do you do that? You have to create boundaries. This is a second thing you're going to have to do. If you do not, or when you do not establish boundaries for yourself, for the people around you, they are going to tell you how they want to treat you. If you don't tell people how you expect to be treated, they are going to treat you according to whatever emotional and mental level that they are at. And then this is how we get in a cycle of people pleasing, because we believe, for whatever we believe, that this is the way that this is just supposed to go. I'm just supposed to act this way with this person. And then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And setting boundaries is a really tricky thing, because we want to stand up for ourselves. We want to be to have a true self-esteem, but then we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. We're taught that we have to be nice. We taught that we have to be the one who, again, receives everything, despite if it's harmful or good for us. But you get to decide. You get to decide what kind of woman you want to be. And it starts by clearly communicating what your boundaries are. The third thing is movement. I was just in California. My sister gave birth to my niece, and when I was in California, she had a medicine ball, and I coincidentally was on my cycle while I was in California with her. So she's like 7 months pregnant and I'm on my cycle. There's just so much energy going on. I felt so bad for my brother-in-law who had to deal with all this. So she had this medicine ball that she was using, to make sure that her hips were staying nice and loose. And I used the medicine ball too because I was on my cycle. I literally, as soon as I came home, went and bought myself a medicine ball. And I recommend every woman should have a medicine ball. There's something about being on that ball and just bouncing on it. I don't know what it is. I don't need to know what it is. All I know is that it feels good and that it gives me some kind of relief. So that is a very simple thing that you can do. You have to move that energy around. Stagnant energy, just like stagnant water, you can't drink it. It's not good for you. The energy has to be flowing. You have to give it the momentum that it needs in order to get away from you, because this is about meeting and creating resistance before the resistance meets you. Because either way, life is going to give you challenges, aka resistance. So are you proactively cultivating the stamina that is required to meet that resistance? Or are you kind of just meandering, detached, expressing your emotions, your irritabilities at the whim of whatever circumstance and environment you find yourself in? Again, be fast, but don't be in a hurry. These things require so much kindness, so much patience, so much compassion, self-compassion. There is nothing more kind that you can do for everyone else than to show up as your most healed self. That is the wonderful thing that everyone can do right now. We're living in such a time of such chaos, such, uncertainty. And so many of us feel like we want to do something. That is what we can do. Showing up as our most healed self is doing something. It's doing something for you, and it's doing something for them. So, if you find yourself struggling with detachment, irritability, annoyance, for me at my age, hot flashes, these are things that our body is communicating to us to slow down, take a breath, and let the answers float to the top, because they always do. I am so proud of the work that you continue to do. Please watch this next video about the shadow work that we all need to do. I love you, my friends, and I will see you in the next video. Be well.